Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? That's another episode of the What's in Your Head podcast brought to you by our friends at ACT Computers. Joining us, as always, with the new Scott Steiner style goatee. I just realized he shaved off his beard. He's going with the Amish goatee, if you will. What's going on, Gordon? What's up with the new facial hair, fella?
Actually, a goatee doesn't have a mustache, I don't believe. I think that would be a Fu Manchu. I just wasn't happy. Wanted to make a change. I think it's working out so far, but whatever. I do live out west and see a lot of it around anyway. It's playoff season, man. That's what's going on. Hey, my arm's disappeared. It's merely a flesh wound. I'm wearing a Golden Knights.
We are no longer the Knights who say, we are the Knights who say, icky, 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 I can put me.
Yes. So we have game 3
the
against
largest tree in the forest and cut it down with this herring.
There you go. So game 3 with the against the Hawks.
Was that a North American swallow or a South American swallow? Go ahead. I'm sorry. You can't bring up Monty Python and expect nothing to happen from it.
Anyway, we're currently winning the game 3 first round. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Fleury is in the net tonight. And,
how's the old flower pot doing?
He's doing all right. I think he fell apart after his dad passed away. Leonard's been in. We are playing back-to-back games, so I think they got Fleury in tonight to give Leonard a rest. And, yeah, I tell you what, it's nice having 2 top-tier goalies to pick from. So if something happens to Crawford on the Hawks, they'd have, I believe, Malcolm Subban, who was our backup goalie, who was not very good, filling in. So, anyway, no, things are going well. I did have an interesting adventure last Sunday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we went to, me and a couple acquaintances. We'll let you know. It's actually Off the Truck Tony. But a new guy joined us. Yeah, a new guy joined us. I don't hang out much. It's the first time I've done anything with these 2 acquaintances, but Narcissistic Ned.
Narcissistic Ned and Off the Truck Tony, all cousins of Import-Export Steve, I assume.
Absolutely. These guys are kind of weird anyway, but I figure, what the hell? Well, it definitely turned into a thing because we went to one of the big gun ranges in town near the Strip. It's known for a lot of tourist attraction, but
is that the type of place you can rent fully automatic machine guns?
Not only full automatic machines, and they've got 4 ARs stacked together, basically.
Nice.
Like a fighter pilot deal, 2 upside down, 2 right side
Demo Ranch.
Yeah, it's called Quadzilla. But anyway, that's enough information that I've given out on that one. So everything was going well. What was interesting is they have become so busy in these times due to new gun owners that the range time has been cut down to a half hour, and the price has gone up to $15 for said half hour.
15.
I think the second person it's like 9 and the third person is like 7, so they do scale back. But it's only a half hour. That's not a lot of time for 3 guys. So we had 3 lanes, which was cool. So we went in there and
it must not have been that busy if you're able to acquire 3 lanes at one time.
It wasn't. That's kind of interesting, right? Well, we went when they opened, so it was early. But Off the Truck Tony is pretty familiar with firearms and Narcissistic Ned, he's interested in getting his first pistol.
Looking to get his beak wet.
So he brought some Glocks, brought my Siggy, brought my XDS, give him some tries. Everything was going good, and I'm sitting there in my own lane, just kind of doing my thing, trying not to go through too much ammo. And all of a sudden, I look over my shoulder, and just OTT. He's
done with OTT? Yeah,
OTT.
me.
He's on the ground, and he's kind of holding his head on. I look over, and it's bleeding.
What did you hit the piece of brass?
The shroud that goes over the motor.
The garage door opener, if you will.
The garage door opener fell off and hit OTT in the head.
If those of you who haven't been to a gun range, I'm sure you've seen enough police movies, even Silence of the Lambs. Clarice was down there, and they hang up the target, and it's basically a garage door opener, but instead of a chain, it's a string on a pulley system. With our place, what they did, they used to have the little iron came down with the clip, and they had the angled metal so that the bullets hit it would
Correct.
split. Now they have some sort of contraption where it's just a metal bar, a horizontal, and they literally, not making this up, have binder.
Same deal.
Because I guess it's cheaper to replace, and so you just squeeze the binder clips, pop the target up there, and pling, pling, plang, plow.
Yep.
There you go.
Well, that garage door opener shroud fell on his head.
Oh,
So, yeah, I get it. He's in pain. I'm looking at him. I'm observing him. He's not bleeding profusely.
my back, my neck, my back and my neck.
He he's got a lump on his head, but his pupils are fine. He's talking fine. He seems cognizant.
A lump,
so-
or as they would call it back in the 70s, a goose egg. Which one was it?
It was an egg for sure. It was forming an egg. It was a cracked egg, but it was an egg. You know, and you know, with head injuries, you've had one or two. You just bleed profusely. You know, even a minor one, but this was not too bad. So I just kind of like, okay. I was like, just, you know, he went and sat down. He got the range, you know, guy, and he went out,
guy.
and he came back in, and guy looks up, and the shroud wasn't screwed on. So whoever serviced this never put the screws in the shroud.
Dipshit.
So they come back. He comes back with water, and things are starting to heat up. You know, hey, you know, they're liable, blah blah blah. And the first thing I think, and maybe this is showing my personality or my severe distrust for fellow human beings, and especially when, you know, got people with the names of Off the Truck Tony and Narcissistic Ned.
Sure.
I just, things are getting a little escalated. I shoot a few more rounds. I'm like, okay, we're packing it up. It's past our half hour.
Were they
anyway.
starting to make a scene?
Their voices were getting a little loud.
And that's
but-
saying
but-
something at a gun range.
But you know, this facility said, hey, just go over here to where we send people that, you know, our people, or
Or we send
we got
people
that
after they get hit in the head by equipment that was failed to
Exactly.
be reassembled appropriately after being serviced.
yes. So to me, I'm good with that. Okay, let's just make sure OTT is fine. All right.
Yeah, because
Let's just make sure he's good. Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of first aid training and everything with OSHA and various classes.
And let's be
You
honest,
know.
the worst part about an unforeseen medical injury is the incurring bills that come from it. And if this place is willing to take on that part of the responsibility,
Absolutely.
problem solved.
Well, so we pack up, we get out there, we're in a car, and it kind of got loud, and I, you know, and they're just like, man, this is when I start, and this is
my back and my neck.
Not
Settle
as
out of
much.
court with a 40 in a manila envelope.
this is when Narcissistic Ned started piping up a little more,
Oh boy.
and it's customer service. They should have at least refunded us for a range. They should do something. This
So-
and that and that. And I'm thinking
Just
to
to
myself, 'cause
clarify,
I don't
the
wanna
injury
get-
happened to OTT, but it's Ned that's starting to raise the fuss.
yes, Ned's starting to raise the
Hey,
fuss.
Spike, what do you want to do? Spike, huh? Spike, hey, Spike.
And well, except it's very, very. You meet these people that they get their way because they're very loud.
Mm-hmm.
And they push themselves around. That's why he's Narcissistic Ned. I mean, he's got a label. He's got an image he must maintain. So I don't want to get an argument. I'm just whatever. But and you know, I hear more about it later because he ended up going back in to buy some more ammunition that Off the Truck Tony was supposed to buy, which I'm surprised he just didn't get it off the truck. For his buddy. Oh, I'm sorry. There's no ammunition out there. It's hard to find for a buddy. So
Well,
then
of
I
course,
hear later
if you,
that
if
he
you
just
raise a
tore into the people saying, you know, this should happen. You know, I was in customer service and this is not how you take care of people. And I'm thinking, let's find out if dude is fine first. And then you talk to them after, hey, get a chance to go in and the general manager can review. You don't need to go in with demands. You, sir, is what we call an asshole. And if anybody approached me in business like that, I'd go tell you to go fuck yourself. And now you ain't getting shit.
Which, by the
You
way,
know?
if I run a gun range and I state claim to the fact that we're responsible for our garage door opener shroud falling on your head, we are offering to pay the medical bills, and you're getting loud, creating a scene, and getting semi-abrasive, you're the last motherfucker I'm going to sell any ammunition to either. I don't
Yeah,
know you're
so-
going to come back in here. I know. I'm not going to say the ammo you're going to use to shoot me in 4 hours when you come back from the hospital. Thank you, no. We're out. Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, and I don't know. It's just it was eating at me for fucking half a week. It was like I'm like how do motherfuckers do this? You know, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's because we kind of grew up both country and city, so and skateboarding and everything else and construction and you name it. And we've seen enough injuries. We've hurt ourselves. We've bumped our heads enough. I mean, we're tall, so we don't have that round dome anymore. We got probably a couple of permanent eggs up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe I just didn't react either. I'm sure they think I didn't. Oh my God! What are you? It's okay. I observed the dude. He's fine. Let them take care of it from the medical professionals, and then I think it's fine. And nothing ever really came of it. But I'm just like, fuck. How? I mean, I was mad. I don't sound so mad now because I've had to, I've cooled my heels. But
sure.
Well, what is it? Drives me insane. I can't stand people like that. I go after those types of people.
Is that a certain breed of cat who?
Yeah, it's mama's boy.
Well, who think that the world is their oyster?
Yeah. Shysters.
It kind of doesn't coincide with something I witnessed. I was sitting at a KFC the other day eating my lunch. And the KFC sits on a small thoroughfare, well, actually a small side street that spills onto a larger 4-lane thoroughfare. And there's two cars at the light, and a guy in a truck with an empty rental U-Haul utility trailer, not the box, but just the open trailer. He pulls in, and his trailer is blocking the road for what would be the oncoming traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, that's kind of a dick move.
It's a big dick move.
Do you think so?
I think it's a horrible move. It means you just don't give a fuck about anybody around you or your fellow human beings and citizens,
Well, what's the difference between me and you and a portion of the society who thinks that what's wrong with that move?
We were not told that everything we do is special.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking D-Train. Who's to say someone thinks there's nothing wrong with that move? I'll tell you who. Fucking TikTok. That's who. So I recorded this asshole, right? And here, I'll just turn up the audio so you guys can hear exactly what I said.
Don't be this dickhead. So he pulls out of the restaurant, knowing he has a trailer, knowing there's traffic, and so now the entire oncoming lane is blocked by his trailer because he couldn't wait to pull out. Don't be this dick.
Now, of course,
you know what? We saw something just like that yesterday.
Now, of course, as soon as I stopped recording, someone was trying to come and squeeze around him. I almost had to drive up on the sidewalk, and as I'm eating, another guy comes pulling a trailer full of pallets. He's pulling up on it, but I didn't get those guys recorded, right?
Is it like a fucktard train accident?
Yeah, and so I didn't get those guys. So somebody else said, I don't see anybody in the oncoming lane. What's a male version of a Karen? So he's calling me a male version of a Karen. Okay, first and foremost, dipshit, oncoming traffic doesn't mean physical oncoming traffic. That makes reference to the opposite lane. Just like if you're driving down an empty street and a cop's behind you and you go left to center, he's going to put on your ticket left to center into oncoming traffic. That means the direction of the other lane.
And let's just talk about driving rules. You're supposed to turn into the first lane that you turn, so you're turning out right onto a multi-lane road. I don't give a fuck if there's a left-hand turn lane you got to get to 4 lanes over. You turn to that right lane. If you got to go down past that light and get over safely and then flip around, that's what you do.
Another cat says, I got to do that same thing sometimes with the 53-foot trailer. Sometimes you got to do it or you'll be sitting there all day. First off, this wasn't a 53-foot trailer. Second off, this was a side street. He would have plenty of time after the light went green. Another guy posted, do be that guy. And then someone else posted, but I think he since deleted it. Maybe he knew the oncoming goings of the traffic and knew that he would make it, yada, yada, yada. But now, interestingly,
he's just trying to get in where he fit in.
Yeah, so 1,817 people saw this video, and like 5 of them are like making me the dickhead and this sort of thing. It's like, why would you do that? It's like,
Darren.
I pull a 22-foot camper. You think I'm gonna, be that guy pulling it out? No, it's part of pulling a trailer. That's the sacrifices you make. You're not gonna have quick access. How many people would be pissed if that was an 18-wheeler doing that?
All fucking everybody. Fists would be in the air. The magic finger would be going, yelling and this and that. And I saw something similar to that yesterday, but a little different.
Okay.
Coming up on a red light, and we're all sitting in traffic, and then it moves. And we're in the lane next to the left turn lane. And there's 2 left turn lanes. All of a sudden, my lane is stopped. It is dead fucking stopped. Why? Because some idiot figured they'd put their piece of shit soul right there trying to get into that left-hand turn lane that's backed way the hell up. Dude, just go through the light, flip a bitch, and work your way back.
Yeah, right.
Don't be the clog in the system.
Well,
But, they're so important with their little soul that they're going to get over.
And speaking of being a Karen, you can't really see because of all the lights in the studio, but I've got a pretty good tan going on and with a fresh coat of red from going to Sanibel Beach today for 4 hours, which is the 4th time. So the last 4 weekends we've gone. 2 things. Interestingly, the first 2 weekends we parked at the lighthouse. And I don't know what it is about the tide and that water, but that whole area is just a smorgasbord of sand dollars. As you're walking, you feel back, you feel them kind of crumbling underneath your feet. You try not to step on them, but it's just sand dollars as far as the feet can feel. I would say as far as the eye can see, the water's clear, but not that clear. But as far as the feet can feel. And then last weekend we went on a Sunday, which was a mistake, and the lighthouse was completely packed. So we had to drive to the other side of the island and go to that beach, which is still a nice beach. It's just on the other side of the island. And the interesting thing of that, and if you watch the last episode of the video I put up on our YouTube channel, you'll see that we had handfuls of starfish. And these weren't just, every one of these things were just drooping over your hands. And no, we weren't keeping them, picking them up, touching them, moving them out of the way. Keeping them, picking them up, looking at them, moving them out of the way. Yes, we're molesting them, but we weren't keeping them, and we sure as fuck wasn't killing them. Which brings me to today and some very bad parenting that I saw. And us having to turn into what we affectionately refer to as passive-aggressive Pat. So
Must be related to narcissistic
I
Ned.
think that's his wife. I think passive-aggressive Pat's narcissistic Ned's wife. So we're out in the tide, and we're playing with sand dollars. And there's a family. It's a mother, a father, probably in their mid to late 30s. They had 3 kids with them, all of them under the age of 10, I would say.
Okay.
And they got one of those little styrofoam swimming boards. It kind of looks like a bodyboard, but most people use them in like a swimming pool.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And they have 2 sand dollars sitting on it. And I found number 3. Boop. No, I'm just ignoring them. And I found number 6, and I hear the dad say, "Well, you want to take these things home?" Now, when you get to Sanibel Island, and it's all about preservation of nature. They got 2 of the biggest nature preserves out there. They got Ding Darling and Crow, which is the rehabilitation center. So if you run over a turtle anywhere in Southwest Florida, you hit a herring, you injure any form of wildlife, you try your best to put it in a box, take it to any local veterinarian clinic, and they will put it in the back, and they will call Crow. Crow will send out one of their volunteers to pick it up, take it, rehabilitate it, and then release it back into the wild. Very cool program. It's been around fucking ever. And so Crow's looking. And so when you pull into the parking lot of Sanibel, it says no live shelling or no live, I don't know the exact word, but it basically makes reference to things that you don't think are alive, such as sand dollars and starfish. Because anybody who lives up north, they know that you go to your mom's or your sister's house, there's bleached out, either real or bleached out fake sand dollars and starfish on the back of everybody's toilets. What's the old joke? I think it was what the hell is his redneck guy? Anyhow, Jeff
Foxworthy?
Jeff Foxworthy has a story, an old joke. For some reason, you can always find a beach on the back of someone's toilet, but you can never find a toilet on the beach. And so there are signs all over the place. And so they're collecting sand dollars, and I hear the dad say to the kid, "Hey, you want to take these home?" And I said loud enough, "You know those are alive, right?" And he ignored me. And Carrie said, don't do that. She kicks in teacher mode. Let me handle this. So she backs up to him where she's about 5 feet from him, and Sariana has one in her hand. Sariana's like 20 feet from her. She said, loud enough, Sariana, make sure you put that back when you're done. It's alive. You don't want to kill it. We're not taking it home. It's alive. You don't want to kill it. Okay, fine. A little passive aggressive, but, message delivered. We're not embarrassing these people in front of their kids by educating them on what's going on.
You just wanted to straight up confront the motherfucker.
Clearly, they don't know or they don't care. I'm assuming, giving them the benefit of the doubt, that they're tourists. They're from out of state. They don't know. Problem should be solved. Mm-hmm. If you're a good parent and you give a shit about nature or even small animals, oh shit, these are alive. Let's put them back in the water. Not so much. They kept collecting them. And so Carrie and I went to go back to our chair after a while, which come to find out later, we were sitting behind them on the beach. And as we pass them by, the mother says something passive aggressive too, something like, boy, we should have enough of these to take home here soon. And you're basically trying to jab one back at me, right? And I didn't say nothing to her, went back. So we're up there for about 15, 20 minutes. We're walking back. And the little boy's walking by me. He's like 8, 7. Apparently his mom got him in on this game now. He's like, beep, beep, watch out. Sand dollars coming through. And he walks past me and Sariana's behind me. And I guess they ask her if she wants one. I turn around. They have their fucking menu board with no shit, probably 70 of these fucking things stacked up higher than 4 medium pizza boxes. They're not collecting or they're harvesting fucking sand dollars.
Yeah, I'm gonna be selling them at a swap meet or some shit.
And they just walk up and start putting them in a bag. And it's like, I really want to say something, but I was like, fuck it. And of course, after they've already walked up with their metric ton of sand dollars killing them and put them in a bag, 5 minutes later, a cop drives by. If he would have drove by when they were walking up there, he probably would have first give them a warning, or after seeing how many they have, perhaps fine them for every single one they have. The only satisfaction we have is to know that if they are tourists, that probably sometime, I don't know, about tomorrow, their entire hotel room is going to smell like dead fucking fish. But hopefully they're already on the road and their car is going to smell like dead fish. Sadly, that means they'll throw all of them away, and so they'll all die for nothing. But no, you're probably right. They're probably going to go home, bleach them out, and sell them on fucking Pinterest or whatever those websites are. And there's nothing to do. And these other women were looking at them. I said, yeah. I said, that's a metric ton of sand dollars. And one woman was like, I was just telling them I feel bad every time I step on one of them. And the other girl's like, I should go say something to him. I said, go ahead. We already tried. But yeah. And it's like, what bad parent, not only when someone made you aware that those things are alive, you're not supposed to collect them. Not only do you not tell your kids, let's put them back, but you get your kid involved into talking shit. Beep, beep, watch out. Sand dollars coming through.
That seems like the same type of personality as you got to fuck them before they fuck you, kid. That's what you got to learn.
Just 2 shitty white parents fucking running 3 kids, man.
I live in a trailer.
It's just,
I shouldn't say that.
And what makes it worse is 30 minutes later, there's a little girl, got her beach sand skimming kit, stack of fucking sand dollars, heading on up to the beach to talk to mom. It's like, I give up. Luckily, there's 30 million of them out here, so they're not really putting a dent. But it's just like, I don't know if the education's just not there. Maybe they need to I don't know. But it's like, you just throw your hands up. And I'm not even a tree hugger, but it's like, come on. I mean, you turn the things over, you see them wiggling. They're clearly a fucking lie. They leave yellow, like iodine all over your hands from whatever they eat. And it's just like, oh.
Getting all over you.
And the sad thing is, people do that with starfish too, and those fuckers wiggle all over your hands too.
Yeah. It's just nuts. The last time I was at Sanibel was years ago, and it was just a bunch of dead horseshoe crabs.
Yeah, that's because I think red tide was real bad at that point.
Yeah, it was winter, I think, so it may have been coming off a red tide, whatever, and it was like, well. But so I had the thought. I think it's trying to be original in my thought.
Oh, here we
but I'm
go.
sure-
$500 fine, Lori says on the Facebook live stream. Is that per unit? God, could you imagine if they would have got caught with 65, 70 of those goddamn things? And I'm not even exaggerating. The dad had it like right here holding it, and the stack was up to like almost his chin in a pyramid. I mean, they're and the sand dollar. I mean, they're smaller in your hand. There clearly had to be probably 70, 80, maybe even 100 on there. And it was just, like I said, of course, 10 minutes after they have them in their bag and they're packing, here comes the Sanibel police officer and his side-by-side. I was so...
per unit.
yeah.
That is per unit.
Maybe, hopefully, they ran a... I don't know. Hopefully, maybe they got... no, if they would have been tagged in the parking lot, I was someone who left. But it's just...
What are you in for? Pilfering sand dollars.
Well, I didn't pay my fine.
70. Oh, that's $500 a piece.
Yeah.
So see if it's $1,000 a piece, that'd be $70,000. So at $500 a piece, you're looking at
$35,000 if they had 70 of them.
That's big.
But
What are you gonna do?
usually in that case, the cops will cut them a break and just get them a ticket for $15,000. Get them a
Or
half
say,
off.
okay, now I need you to take them out to the ocean and throw them back.
But
in.
at that point, they're already in a bag sitting out in the sun, fucking roasting away, man. They
Yeah,
put
they'd
they,
have
they
to
didn't
go
even
around.
put them in like in a net. They put them in a plastic Ziploc bag, and we're just watching. And it's like, what do? Go up there, make a scene, get in a physical altercation in front of this. Then I'm the worst guy for fighting somebody in front of his 3 little kids.
So Lori says that could be also a month up to a month in jail. So what are you in for?
Yeah, just,
The
I
great sand dollar fiasco.
just don't get it, man.
Paper.
I told Carrie, I said, I'm about to go up there and grab my
That's how
camera.
I make my money.
I was about
I
to.
gotta sell sand dollars at the flea market.
Carrie would stop me because I was about ready to, when they're walking up there. I was like, I'm going to go get my camera, my phone, and I'm going to take a video of them. And she's like, no, you don't want to get in a fight. I said, but then they'll get caught. She's like, what do you think? What? I said, well, there's been stories where people have taken videos while on vacation where they're like harassing fucking manatee and shit, and they put it on Facebook and end up getting tickets from the Florida Fish and
Some
Wildlife.
public shaming can go a long way. But then you'll be called a male Karen again.
Oh,
A
I've already been
Darren,
called a
as it
mayor
were.
Karen for calling somebody out for driving like a shit dick with his fucking utility trailer you're renting from U-Haul.
So is that a Darren or is that a Todd? I think a Todd's more like the male Karen.
Yeah, but we like play on words and phoneticism, and so they would probably go with the Darren. No, you couldn't do the Darren because a Karen is a white woman, and Darren a lot of times, not all the times, but a lot of times can be an African American name, so you couldn't make that risk. It would have to be something a lot
Todd.
more, Todd or a Ken perhaps. Ooh, a Karen and a Ken.
There you go. A Ken.
Yeah, Ken.
That is interesting. So
Well, I was talking. This is before today. I was talking to Zach the other day, and he said, "Well, starfish is or kill reefs, and that's what's killing the Great Barrier Reef." And I said, "I thought global
CO2
warming
was.
was killing a Great Barrier Reef." And he said, "Well, the CO2 creates whatever the starfish enjoy eating in those areas, and so it's actually when the starfish get to the coral reefs that they're the ones actually killing it. They don't show that in Finding Nemo."
no, they don't.
On my way to Sanibel. Okay, rednecks, country folk, good old boys.
Hillbillies.
I like you, but you guys got to knock it off the America shit. Driving to Sanibel, there's a big old Chevy, America written on the back windshield. You realize you're making fun of yourselves, right? Am I the only one that remembers where the fuck that came from?
They're just owning it.
Do you remember where it came from?
It was vaguely, but I know it was a slam.
Let's go back in the Wayback Machine to the time when George Bush is still in office, and it was real hip
America.
to hate him. And the fellas who made South Park made America World Police, the
America.
puppet movie, and they kept America making fun of people who basically making fun of patriotic people and people who love the flag and love the country. And so, it's kind of a slam. And so so now
Yeah, but what's the best way to disarm a slam?
I don't know, man. I just
You fucking own it.
and
you turn it
saying
into
it,
a
Mer,
thing.
it's just I don't. Well, if you love the country so much, why do you want to abbreviate it?
'Cause we
Does
like
the
to use
A
it.
take up that much more room on your fucking window? They put the apostrophe in there.
Can't spell it.
I don't know. It drives me nuts when I hear America.
America.
Lori said it's a Kevin. It's a Kevin and a Karen. I don't know.
I buy that. I will definitely buy that. So speaking of America,
Fuck yeah.
and the horrible political landscape we find us in, and I'm trying to make this one kind of funny, and trying to be original. I'm sure it's been brought up somewhere because there's no original thought.
He did it
So
again.
sitting there,
Caused trouble. Hurt someone's feelings. Yet he didn't want to do it. Yes, troublesome people are often people in trouble. They may be mentally ill. Find out how you can help. Write Better Mental Health, Box 3000, New York 1, New York.
Actually, you should probably have played the Tom McDonald and followed it up with that. So it is a little bit of a please. There's a little
Hi,
warning
my
here,
name is
but
Tom McDonald.
there you
Welcome
go.
to the show. If you
There
are
you go.
easily offended, then you probably should go.
So you sit there and you look at all these people who protest. You look at the political landscape, and then you look at the types of people they are. Yes, I am going to profile, but I was maybe one of these types of people as mainly in middle school.
Well, we all were. We talked about this a few weeks ago.
Oh,
The
no,
younger,
no.
The younger cats have that mentality.
No, I'm gonna. So you look at it, you look at the political. You know what it seems to me like? Because you look at the types of people, it's straight up nerd rage. That's what the fuck's going on. Nerd rage. The nerds, the meek, are trying to inherit the earth. Look at these cats. I mean, they're freaks and geeks. That's what they would be back when we were younger, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way they dress, the different things. You know, they don't quite fit into what you'd consider socially norms.
Well, the irony is nerdom is the social norm for that generation.
Yes, it is. And so to me, it just appears to be a bit of nerd rage going on. And it is, I don't know, man. I'm getting a little nervous.
Well, me and the little lesbian girl at the 7-Eleven were talking about that last night.
Now you've offended somebody.
No,
sure.
I'm saying this to present a point because she agreed with me and I agreed with her. She actually brought it up that the forcing of the changing of the name of the Washington Redskins was getting a little crazy. And I said, well, you know who's responsible for that? She's like, who? I said, it wasn't the Native Americans. They've asked Native Americans for years if that shit offends them. They say no. They're just happy people still, you know, honor them in some way. And yes, Redskin is definitely a hell of a lot more, you know, of a offensive slur
Derogatory.
than the other baseball teams and football teams that have Native American names. But
Chief Wahoo.
but to my point, I said, well, no, the people who do this are white people with suffering from white guilt, and she completely agreed with me.
And it is true. And then you sit there and you look at the Kamala Harris pick. And it's like, don't you guys realize it's actually a whole racist thing they're doing right now? They're just baiting everybody.
Yeah,
You know,
and the fun part is this gives Fox News all the time in the world to go back and play the quotes of Kamala Harris when she was running against Biden, where she's calling him a racist and all that shit. And I guess that all goes out the window now that he got elected.
and she considers herself a different race at different points in time.
Yeah.
And yes, the stuff's real. You just got to dig it up. But yeah, and it's not her race and it's not her sex that I have a problem with. And yes, that can
policies.
happen. It's her policy and her politics and the gun grabbing and the erosion of freedom. And we're already doomed. I don't care who gets in there with this shit that's been going on, the wrecking of our economy.
You know, I saw an interesting video from an African American young man, probably in his late 20s, early 30s, and he said he's a little baffled by the choice of Biden and Harris because both of them are so ill-equipped to run, him and his current mind state, and her policies, and you know, and all that. And he said he had this weird thought that perhaps that's why they were chosen, because there's a less chance for them to win, so that when Trump stays in office, the protests and the riots will continue, and that'll be used for a reason of why we got to tear the shit all down and start anew, because a quality candidate can't win. And that was the hypothesis that he was presenting, that maybe they chose these two, what some people feel to be unelectable people, intentionally, so that Trump would re-win and use that for, we need to tear the shit down and change everything from the ground up.
And how unprecedented is it that your lead candidate, your guy, is deteriorating quickly,
And that's the
and
insanity.
and it's such a, and then it's just basically to get her in there.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like, I've got, you know, what would happen between now and then, if something, God forbid, happens to Joe Biden because of his age and his health?
Well, Joe Biden.
What does it do to the election?
If Joe Biden wins, he will be older than Reagan was when Reagan left office.
Yeah, and he was already going, and Reagan was slipping. I mean, he was slipping hard.
So and keep in mind, the presidential candidate for the party who has spent the last 10 years complaining about rich white men, rich old white men, their candidate is a rich old white man who's losing his goddamn mind. And by the way, a rich old white man who has a long history of supporting super extremely racist fucking law policies. I guess one of them that he did, he co-signed on a law back in the 80s that basically if you're white and got arrested for cocaine, it was basically a minor charge, but if you're African American and you're arrested for crack, which is basically the same drug, just in a harsher format, your jail time was like twice as if it was a cocaine charge, and just all kinds of silly shit like that. But I don't know, it's just fucking goofy.
Yeah, that it is. And the only other thing I got to say is I don't care what president it is. The last two presidents have been horrible at executive orders. They need to pretty much go away because that's kind of creating a dictatorship, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Don't like it. Don't like it. It's called the balance of power. It's there for a reason.
Yeah, and the fact that
You
you
can't
can
get anything done. Well, that's maybe it's because you don't want to get something stupid done.
and the fact that you could legally veto pardon yourself for crimes that you haven't been charged with yet, a preemptive pardon, that's fucking
like
insane.
It's like a bad burp, right? Oh,
Yeah.
pardon me.
Well, I can do whatever I want because I can preemptive pardon myself. I don't know, maybe I should play the Tom McDonald thing again.
Hi, my name is Tom McDonald. Welcome to the show. If you are easily offended, then you probably should go.
Part of my job is to travel all around Southwest Florida. And I drive all over Cape Coral, and there's not a single construction grade street sign that's 8 foot tall by 8 foot wide, black box with orange letters that remind you to wear your face mask, to wash your hands, and to do the 2020 census. There's not a sign in San Carlos Park, Bonita Springs, or Naples.
I don't see that out here either.
There's not a sign in the more affluent areas of Fort Myers.
Fort Myers.
I don't know if the people who sit on the Fort Myers City Council think that people in at-risk neighborhoods and lower-income neighborhoods are stupid. I don't know if they think they don't have access to all the information that the rest of the world has.
I mean, the same cell phones we all have,
Same internet, same Facebook,
Same
same
internet.
radio stations.
same flat screen TVs with cable.
I don't know if they think they're dim-witted, dumb, and fucking stupid. If they do, the people living in those neighborhoods should be fucking furious and go to the next city council meeting.
Yeah, but they'll end up voting for him.
But yeah, hop on US 41 in Fort Myers and head down through right around the hospital area that basically runs dead nuts through the neighborhoods of the, at-risk families and the lower-income people, the areas where you tend to see the prostitutes walking around and all that. Same area where I told you I saw the lady walking with the Eat at Joe's sign that had some weird shit written on it. Big ass. Now, interestingly enough, it's right where they're doing construction, but there's no construction message on it. It's either remember to wear a mask, remember to wash your hands, and like I said earlier today, complete the census forms.
Could it be an area of town where they've had issue with compliance on wearing masks?
No, I don't. No, because it's a very small area.
Okay.
I see more people in Cape Coral and Sanibel Island, for example. Okay,
Hi, my name is Tom McDonald. Welcome to the show. If you are easily offended, then you
Well, for our
probably
record
should go.
today,
I was on Sanibel Island today. For those of you who don't live in Southwest Florida, in order to live on Sanibel Island, you got to be in a very, 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 very high tax bracket. It's a rich area, like
like the extra 0.4% to California
like
wants
middle
to charge?
upper class,
Okay.
not middle class or upper middle class, like middle upper class and upper class. This is
You
where
got to have a few million. just
this is
laying in
where
the bank.
former lead singers of AC/DC live. This is where art dealers and doctors and lawyers, the richest of
Jimmy
the rich,
Buffett
live.
hangs out.
It costs $6 to get on the island and toll.
Okay.
And so you go out to the island, and There's a bunch of people on their boats with their Trump flags flying, and there's people without the Trump flag flying. You got people with money on boats, and you got people who go there because it's beautiful. White people, as far as the eye can see, and you got some Hispanics and all that. The only people wearing masks walking to and fro are the African Americans. They're on the beach wearing masks, walking their place. Everybody else walking around no mask. So to answer your question, I'm going to say no, because the same place the sign is a place where people have a tendency to wear the mask more than anywhere else. Like Adam Carolla said on his podcast this week, have you noticed it's the white people who seem to be up in arms about wearing masks? Everybody else, the minorities, are all down for it. So to answer your question, no. The minorities tend to wear their masks more than the white folk. It's the white folk who you see pissed off screaming at each other in fucking Costco, not the African Americans or the other minorities. So to answer your question, no, because they tend to wear their mask more than the white folk do. So that's why I'm being cynical, saying, because I know they're not stupid. I know that they have access to the same information. But why does the city council feel the need to fucking put that sign up? And that's the only place in all of town where the sign is in those neighborhoods. It's like, why do you have to feel like they're just like they're children, and and you have to fucking hold their hand? They know. People know. And once again, there's poor white people in those neighborhoods too, and poor Hispanics live. Just because they're lower income people don't mean that they don't know what the fuck's going on, and don't mean they're not responsible enough to wear the mask. And I don't know.
So it's kind of a dick move on the.
To me,
on their part.
To me, it just shows that politicians in general, one, think we're all fucking idiots. I had a conversation with the same chick last night at the 7-Eleven about, and I've had this conversation so many times. If you want to know what Congress thinks of us, the unwashed masses, look at cigarettes. These young cats get confused when you ask them for ultralights, lights, reds, because they didn't grow up in a world where you had Marlboro lights, Marlboro ultralights,
100s,
Camel lights. Why don't they live in that world? Because as I explained to them, Congress thinks we're all dumb children. They think that we think that if I smoke ultralights, I won't get cancer, or won't be at the risk of getting cancer as if I smoke a Marlboro Red. And so they outlawed the use of those terms. The cigarette companies are no longer allowed to write ultralight, light on their cigarettes.
I can't get my diet cigarette?
They still have the cigarettes, but much like we're all nitwits and dipshits after 9/11, you know how they do it now? Color code. Because we're all stupid children. We got to use color codes. And so you got to ask for Marlboro Silvers, or Marlboro Yellows, or Camel Blues, or Camel Reds, or Camel Golds. And so when old people,
out of the loop I am, I didn't even know this happened. Well, one, I don't smoke.
And so this happened years ago. This happened when I was still smoking 2 packs a day.
There's still lights and shit. So
no. So if you went, if fucking Import-Export Steve sent you down to the gas station, get him a pack of Miller Lite, and he would tell you a pack of ultralights, you'd go in and ask for ultralights. And if the person's under 30, they're going to say, huh? And then the old pro fucking cashier next to her is in a 45, the silver ones. And it happens all the time. And I use that example as an example of how the government thinks we're all fucking dumb. And that sign is the same thing. The people in those neighborhoods, they know, they're wearing their masks. They have the same cell phones as we do. They have the same internet we do. They all go to the same Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and all the same pages we do. They don't need the fucking reminder.
If you really want to vote for somebody who thinks you're stupid, vote for Biden and Kamala Harris, because they really don't like us.
When I worked on Stan and Haney, they would play back when Trump, when all of them were running for office, and Morgan Kane, what the fuck's his first name? The guy used to own the pizza joints.
Herman
Cain would get up on stage and go, "Oh, shucky ducky," and it would drive me insane. And they would. They didn't know why it drove me insane. Why does it drive you insane, D-Train? And I would tell him, because this guy's running for fucking office. And you're up in front of your constituents, your crowd, and you talk to, that's something you say to a class full of fucking kindergartners or fourth graders. That's the way you talk to a fucking room full of goddamn adults who want to vote for you. Oh, shucky. That's the type of shit that drives me nuts. Maybe because I was in fucking LD classes and I had fucking adults talking down to me like I was a fucking retard half my whole life. I don't know. Maybe it's some fucking pent-up rage I had in the back of my head. But nothing drives me crazier than when you have a group of people talk to goddamn adults as if they're children and treat them like children. Treat them like adults because that's what the fuck they are.
It's so funny.
That's why it drives me nuts.
The shucky ducky, you see it that way. I see it a little different. expected like the Looney Tunes frog to come out and start dancing because it reminds me of that kind of stuff.
Same
And
difference.
It just seems outdated.
Yeah.
Just outdated and old canned stuff. I don't have anything else to say.
And by the way, you're a political candidate for Party A, and you say something that dumb dipshit that the supporters of Party B are going to use against you. It's like, I don't know. And anytime I see anything like that, it drives me fucking up. That's just my biggest pet peeve. Is I hate.
You know what? Trump's just as bad with using
exactly.
very. He uses very too fucking much.
Well, that's
and
because
terrible.
That's because he has a minimum. He has a very minimum fucking vocabulary. The dude may be wicked smart. He may be a great businessman, but his vocabulary is. And trust me, I don't have a great big vocabulary either. But I'm aware of it. I have a very great, fantastic vocabulary. It's superior. It's very nice. It's very good vocabulary. No, shut the fuck up. You do not.
And stay off of fucking Twitter.
Yeah, please. But
so yeah, man. How is life in Southwest Florida? What's going on this week?
before
weird?
we get on that, yes, Gio, I am fired up on the topic of offending people. We talked about how movements hijack people's symbols, flags, etc.
Yes.
That's why
They co-opt it.
the people who were born and raised in the South, who have their decals that have the Confederate flag saying heritage, not hate, and don't know why people associate the Confederate flag with racism. As we said before, it's because, well, the KKK kidnapped your fucking flag, and anytime they marched against Martin Luther King or anything that had to do with, equality, they fucking flew your flag. So take that shit up with them. They hijacked your flag. You can't be upset that everybody sees your flag as a symbol of hate when all these hate groups use your flag. We talked about how in 2008, when the new Tea Party used the Gadsden flag when they were out protesting Obama, and so now everybody assumes the Gadsden flag is a symbol of racism.
And now the American flag's on its way there too.
Exactly. There's a group of people out there trying to convince everybody that the Old Glory is a symbol of hate, and that's why you're seeing less American flags flying around. Here's a fun new fact for you. Did you know during World War I and pre-World War II, there was an Army division that had a swastika as their division logo?
No,
That's because prior to Hitler co-opting the swastika, it was used by Native Americans and Egyptians and other cultures as a symbol of prosperity and good luck. But once again, you had a group of assholes co-opt a logo, and now you can't use it.
led by a guy with a funny mustache.
Now, this has nothing to do with all that, but this is kind of what I'm getting to, and that is, have you noticed corporate America co-opting slogans to make themselves look hip?
All over the place.
Do you know what an advocate is?
Somebody who stands up for somebody else's stance on things or their plight.
An advocate, according to dictionary.com, is a person who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or policy.
Okay.
Most of us became aware. Advocate got put into the lexicon when the LGBTQA adopted it, which is fine. They're advocates for the cause. You have advocates for child abuse, advocates, and that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. But because of the LGBTQA has used the word advocate and made it into the lexicon, we all probably use that word. It's probably been printed a lot more in the last 5-10 years than it has in a long time, which is great. Have you seen the new Carvana commercial?
No, but I was ever wondering what it'd be like if the car got stuck in that big vending machine, and how the fuck are you going to tilt it out?
You got to get a crane and shake it. So I'm sitting in my bed the other night, and the new Carvana commercial comes on, and they're talking about their customer advocates. No longer are they customer support personnel, salesmen, sales leaders, customer advocates, as if they have to go to court and stand by your side to get a judge to allow you to buy a fucking car. Oh, we're going to go to bat because because my credit sucks, now you're my advocate? Or are you just taking a term that is being used for good and that is in the lexicon and kidnapping it and turning it into your fucking part of your advertising to get some woke points on your side? Really? You're
That's
a customer
exactly it.
advocate? What sort of advocating do you have to do for your customers? If their credit sucks, you're going to try just like any other car dealership.
Dude, I advocated for you, but unfortunately it just didn't work out.
Customer advocate. You know what that does? That waters down real advocates.
Yes, it does. Sort of like general managers are watered down when you walk into Verizon and this schlub answering the door has a general manager tag. I actually happened once. And I went in. I said, I got it because I had a problem.
Yeah.
Well, the manager's back there. I was like, well, you got a general manager tag on your shirt. Oh, it's just a type. It's just so now you can bestow titles upon yourself, apparently.
Well, they
You
do it
know?
all the time. And that started in the 90s when
And it's like, what the? Really, dude? Fuck yourself.
customer advocate.
You're a host. That's what you are, man. You are the guy who holds the door open.
We are
You're the doorman.
We are a consumer-based society. Customers don't need fucking advocates because we run this world. We run the country. Everything is consumer-based. Everything is everybody trying to sell something to somebody somewhere, trying to make you happy. That's why if you have a complaint and you don't get satisfaction when you call up the 800 number, because you're not going to get satisfaction when it's just you and their customer advocate on the other side of the phone. Once you hang up that phone and you go on Twitter and you got 2,500, 1,500, 5,000, 10,000, 30,000 followers, and you put out one fucking tweet, guess whose issue gets resolved real quick? The customer. You. Just like when I bought that scam cam off of fucking Instagram, and I presented an entire bunch of evidence to PayPal that what they sold me was not what I bought, and basically explained to them I bought a used iPhone 5 and they sent me a fucking Android burner phone. They basically said, hey, you bought a phone, you got a phone. So when I tweeted that shit,
So I'm buying this Porsche for a really cheap price, but I end up with a Yugo?
no, you end up with a
That looks like a Porsche?
1978 Volkswagen Beetle with fucking 3 tires and a rusted out floor pan. Hey, you bought a German car. You got a German car. So I went on Twitter and I simply typed in, hey, PayPal, what happened to the days when you supported your customers? Now you're more concerned about helping Chinese scam artists get rich out in China. Guess who got an instant message real quick? Guess who got a
the
full
companies don't like
refund?
the companies don't like being on blast.
Do you have evidence? Not only do I have evidence, I got a whole fucking YouTube video about it with screenshots and everything. Send it over. 2 days later, midnight on my birthday, guess who got a full refund, even though I fought it for fucking almost 2 months before bad-mouthing them on Twitter. I don't go straight to Twitter, just like I don't call a certain internet service provider's corporate office that I have over in Pennsylvania the first time. I go through the proper channels. I try to get satisfaction that way. And then if I don't get satisfaction through the proper channels, then I go the other routes. I don't do
Have
it
you
in
ever been sent to an exclamations division?
an exclamations division.
This happened to me when we had AT&T at the condo. It's before, and it ended up making me do a costly divorce with them. We just did not have service in the condo. And I'd call them and they said, well, it shows you got great service there. I started screaming and yelling. Sorry, sir, I need to send you to our exclamations department.
I'll give you a little secret. It's a little hard to do. It takes a little finagling, a little time, energy, and effort on your part because they do not like to do this because it costs them money. But I know they exist and I've seen them. And I thought about going through the hassle of getting one at the radio station when I worked there because the tower above that building is actually the backup tower. It's being subletted by a very prominent cell phone company that's not the one I have. And so my cell phone signal was drowned out by their tower. They make a piece of equipment that looks like a cable modem. And if you ruffle enough feathers, they will send it to you. You hook it up to your cable modem, and it's basically a miniature cell phone tower for your fucking house, so that you don't have to stand out in the parking lot of your condo or your apartment building or your business to make phone calls.
It's like a range extender.
Yeah, it's basically it's to get your cell phone on their network using your internet. They make them, and they usually don't cost a thing, especially if you have a business with a bunch of people on one plan. You raise enough hell, they will. I've seen them in people's homes, and I've seen them in people's businesses. I know Sprint makes one. I know T-Mobile makes one. I'm sure all the rest of them do. And they will, if you go through enough of a hassle and raise enough of a stink, they will send you one.
I tried that. It didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, evidently I've lost some fire somewhere along the way.
I remember one time I called Comcast. It was when we moved in here. and I need to know when they were coming to install my cable.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you don't have the ability to call that department. You got to call the regular department. And I said, yeah, they're supposed to be here. They didn't show up. Well, blah, blah, blah. I said, let me talk to a manager in the scheduling department for your field technicians. Oh, I don't have the ability to do that. I said, what? We don't have the ability to... You don't have the ability to transfer interdepartmentally? No, sir. Sir?
So if I start screaming at you, where will I get
No.
transferred?
I don't have to scream. I simply called them on their bullshit. I said, sir, you're Comcast Communications. You just bought out NBC Global. You are a communications company. You're trying to tell me you don't have the infrastructure to transfer customers interdepartmentally? You know what he said? Please hold, and he transferred me interdepartmentally. Just got to call them on their bullshit.
Mhm.
Got the answer, found out when they're coming to install my cable, and got my cable installed. But yeah. Gordon, are you ready for the news?
I am ready for the news.
News and shit. News and shit. Now here's Gordon with some news and shit.
Joining us now from the Digital 410 West News Desk in Las Vegas, Nevada, Gordon Abernathy.
Hey, Gordon,
Hey,
how you doing
guys.
tonight?
I am doing fine. So our first story is going to come out of France.
Hold on, don't mean to cut you off, but OG5 member Morgan Long said T-Mobile sent me one after 10 days of zero service at my office. I told them I was going to go to Verizon. So there you go.
I went from Verizon back to T-Mobile, but that's because Verizon's just too goddamn expensive. So the first story is coming out of France.
France. We come from
Yeah,
France.
something a little different. It's a big ass fish.
That is a big ass fish. Look at
That
us getting
is
highfalutin with our fucking blue
record-breaking
screen.
catfish.
Jesus. Speaking
God, I
of
think so.
Volkswagens,
That looks like something you hear rumors of in the Ohio River.
yeah. Hey, down by the dam in the Ohio River, they had scuba divers down there doing underwater welding. They came by catfish the size of a killer whale, and they came up and said, fuck this job, and they left.
Fuck this job, and they left. Well, this is coming out.
How
of
big
the
was that catfish?
I'm going to get.
Oh, I thought you were
Right
moving
with
on.
you on
You
it.
took
Yeah.
down the cool graphic.
No, it's
so I-
because it's going to run. So giant
Oh, okay.
catfish was caught in the Seine River. Few Parisians realized a big fish had returned to the murky waters of the Seine. But a giant 200-pound, nearly 8-foot-long catfish had been caught in a Paris suburb.
Fun fact, he caught that on a 5-pound test. and a Zephyr
It doesn't
100.
say test on it, unfortunately.
What is it? Not a Zephyr. What's the old Zelco 100?
The old Zelco
Got on a
100.
Zelco 100 on a 5-pound test.
So Jeffrey Ralou, an amateur fisherman, made what he thought was a record catch, or is thought to be a record catch, at Seine near Choisy-le-Roi, southeast of the city center. The next largest catfish was caught in Paris last year, was just 3 inches smaller. World's record largest catfish ever landed was set by a Frenchman. I never knew French had big ass catfish. Caught was nearly 9 feet long, almost as big as a grizzly bear. And this was in 2018. So this local manager, he's a local manager of a supermarket chain. I see some catfish going on sale.
No, they asked him,
Uh,
sir, what are you going to do with it? He said, no, I don't eat catfish. It's a mite gamey. And he left it there and he left.
Right.
We-
Said he set out soon after dawn with 2 friends, and they had caught nothing all morning. Then around lunchtime, he felt a tug on his line. My reel unwound completely, and I couldn't stop it. However, it did take him about 20
Damn
minutes
Zebco.
to haul it out of the water, and it put up a huge fight. Could you imagine the fight with a 200-pound catfish?
Could you imagine that some bitch stinging you? It'd feel like a fucking jellyfish.
Having the Steve Irwin, right?
Yeah.
So after the photographing it and measuring his prize, he did actually put it back in the water. It seemed to be a little...
How does one put a 200-pound catfish? Hey, can I get that skid steerer over here, please?
Yeah, one of the reasons they don't want to eat them is, and they turn it back, is because
They
they
get
do
wormy.
feed off of dead fish containing a lot of mercury and lead, and they also eat a lot of sick, because they're not hunters. Toxins build up in them, so that's why they don't eat them.
Yeah, there's a
Catfish, or is that just a big one?
there's a catfish tournament down here every year to raise money and awareness for charity, which is great. And the whole thing is it's how many, not the biggest catfish, but how many, the heaviest 5-gallon bucket. So you get a bunch of buckets from Lowe's and you fill them up, the catfish full, and the heaviest bucket wins. All this catfish go right in the dumpster. Fucking insane. Yep. Right in the big stinky ass dumpster.
Well, Las Vegas will still Las Vegas during these times. A known prostitute arrested for stealing $90,000
That's not the
from a
prostitutes I
Las
know.
Vegas tourist over the 4th of July weekend.
Dipshit.
So here's the story. A Las Vegas woman and a prostitute has been arrested for stealing a $90K in cash from one of her clients on 4th of July. So can you guess what happened?
She bought a car.
No, how she ended up with the money.
Oh, he passed out. She stole his wallet. Who has 90 grand in their fucking wallet?
What happens after sex to a dude? We're done, right?
Yep, he passed
Out.
out.
So the police said the man named Ronald Moore was passing through Las Vegas.
Can
on
you
his
fit
way to
90
Arizona.
grand in a hotel safe? I know they're pretty small.
I don't think so. What's interesting is this guy has the gift of gab, apparently. This is how she found out he had money.
Oh, of course.
He-
if you're the
he's-
type of
he's
guy who
coming
walks
through
around Vegas.
Vegas
with 90 grand in cash on you, you're going to fucking run your mouth.
But he wasn't there to gamble it. He was on his way to Arizona to buy a house with the money. So he's probably going to put some money down or he's buying a cheap home. So he contacted the
He's a
woman
flipper.
through, and this sounds like a Florida site. Got to look into it. It's called GatorEscort.com. This is where Vegas turns into Florida a little bit, apparently. So he picked up 22-year-old Tylisha Ferguson, who had already been arrested several times for prostitution.
You don't say. Because why
infamous-
is that, Gordon? I thought prostitution was legal in Vegas. That's what everybody tells us.
You only got to go to Nye. You got to go to Nye County, over the hump to Pahrump. It is not legal in Vegas. So she was arrested, several times near the El Cortez Hotel Casino in downtown Las Vegas. So that's over there near Fremont Street Experience. But he took her to his hotel room at the Westgate Hotel Casino and Paradise Road. We've known people to stay there before. That used to be the Hilton, and it's over by the convention center. So Ferguson asked Moore what he was doing in town, and he told her about the house and the cash. So what do? You pick up a prostitute and you say, hey, I'm loaded, baby.
Yeah, dumbass.
So before having sex, she asked him if she could see the money. Hey, man, can you show it to me?
Can we have sex in it?
This money was carried very classic style.
Hip pack? Please tell me it's in a hip pack.
Nope. It's very old school way of carrying a bunch of money in a brown paper bag.
I guess because what did they call those old silver safes? Those briefcases. Because an
Attaché
attaché
case?
that would be a little too on the nose.
Yeah. So, she said, man, I've never seen that much cash. And he showed her. And then they proceeded to, brown chicken, brown cow, according to the arrest record, for Ferguson.
Yeah.
So she told them what's going on because she blabs too.
She gives no shits.
So this is where it gets a little concerning about at least the guy who was the John. After sex, Ferguson complained of stomachache. She had some stomach pain because of her menstrual period. And then asked.
Hey, there's a kink for that.
Yep, and then asked to use the bathroom. Moore reportedly gave permission and fell asleep while the alleged prostitute was in the bathroom. When he woke up several hours later, discovered that she had absconded with his cash.
Dipshit.
She was gone, no cash. Police were able to obtain surveillance video because when you're going to steal money, where's a better place than a casino?
Well,
There's cameras everywhere.
It's probably a good thing he didn't put it back in the safe when he was done. Otherwise, he probably would have woke up with her pimp and a gun in his mouth.
Possibly. And they basically obtained surveillance video of the woman entering and leaving the casino. It appeared in the video that she was carrying something much heavier upon her departure than when she arrived. She got into an unknown Lincoln Navigator in the valet area, pimp ride, I'm sure, after exiting the property. The victim showed the police the phone number that he had for the woman. They were able to find it on multiple advertisements posted online. Police also discovered that her name and she had given, so they called the same number, the same girl, same name answered, and they've seen that she also had a record on. So they made contact with her through said phone number, arranged a date.
So
And
for
then
those of
police
you
were
playing
able-
along at home, here's a prostitute clearly in love with the game because she just got herself 90 grand in cash, tax free.
Which she probably went to her pimp and she got like $2,000.
And a short 4 hours later, she's still
Black
hooking.
eye.
She's still hooking. If I had 90 grand in cash, one, my pimp would never see me again. But two, I sure as shit wouldn't be answering my phone. I would be going down to the closest used car lot, buying me a $4,000 car in cash, and hightailing it the fuck out of town. But I guess that's why she's a prostitute, because she's not what they call a forward thinker.
Or a person who makes great decisions.
I guess.
So basically, they swooped her up, and she's been in court.
Hey, while we're on Vegas, are your late nights still open late night?
Yes. Well,
Or
yeah, there's still places open 24 hours.
Steak and Shake here closes at midnight. Taco
They
Bell
actually closed up Steak and Shake here, and they pulled up steaks and left.
Taco
And so
Bell.
did Miller's Ale House.
closed at midnight. All of our 24-hour places are no, because of COVID, they all closed at midnight. So like if you're up after 12, if you get hungry, your ass is going to fucking Walmart. There's no place to buy hot food after midnight around here.
It's either Walmart or 7-Eleven.
And it's pretty bad when
Some
I go
lizard
to
fingers off of that.
toxic hell. One night we all had hankering for something. First we went to Steak and Shake, closed. Went to Dairy Queen, closed. Okay, I guess we're going to Taco Bell, closed.
Well, with the- now,
Sonic, closed.
in regards to the fast food restaurants, I don't know because I'm usually in bed by 10:30 because I'm turning into an old man. Speaking of which, I had my eye exam today.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, he tried to prescribe me some not quite progressive bifocals, but it's the step right below, and they're made for computers, and it will help me read at the bottom. And again, not full,
When it comes
But-
to eyes, I'm like
but I didn't want to pay the extra $280 for those lenses. So I was
when
like,
it comes to eyes, I'm like the Incredible Benjamin Buttons.
Mhm.
I had no line bifocals in elementary school. My eyes have gotten better as I got older. When I
My
moved
eyes-
to California and I started going to school for computers and actually started reading, I had to get new contacts because all through high school, the eye doctor told our parent he needs to exercise his eyes, and I wouldn't read. I hated reading. Once I actually went to school for computers, started reading, I had to get new glasses because they got too strong for me. My eyes got better, and so as I got older, when I got into my 20s, my prescriptions were too high for me. I had to actually downgrade. And I'm one of those lucky cats where my left eye is like a 0.1% different than my right eye. So when I buy contacts, I just buy one box and I can use them in both eyes, so it saves me money.
My both eyes were different. They were well over 3. They've actually are the same now, and they're a point less than they used to be. They actually got better too, but my optometrist says that is the sign of you getting older, and you're going to be needing readers. So,
And
Yeah,
for the
you can-
serial listeners of this podcast, I did track down and interview the bike riding cowboy with the weird flag and the T-shirts and got some answers for him. Sadly, the AC was a little loud, but I restated what his name's George, and he does it to make people happy. He is a little in the head, but yeah. So
he's
that's
happy in the head.
that's also in the latest video. Can I
Speaking of
steal
bike
your news
rides-
report before you get back?
What's that?
Can I do a news story in the middle of your news report?
Actually, I want to segue because this is about bike riding also.
Okay, go ahead.
I have the Philly naked bike ride has been called off. Why?
Again?
Because of,
COVID.
you got it. So the coronavirus pandemic has slammed the brakes on the Philly bike ride. This is coming from the AP, so I'm going to use their wording. The annual event, it is an annual event. Can you imagine riding a bike buck naked?
No, it hurts your butt.
It hurt your butt, and just imagine. You have to probably burn the seat
Yeah, right.
after that. The annual event, which usually draws thousands, not hundreds, not tens, but thousands of nude cyclists for a trip around Philadelphia and its tourist sites, has been set for later this month, but the organizers who had been gearing up for the city's COVID-19 cases made them halt their planning after much debate. Enter any kind of funny phrases there. We feel like that canceling this year's event is the most responsible thing to do. Well, no shit, Sherlock.
And more on that
Are
story.
they going to run around? They're going to bike naked with masks on? That'd be kind of odd.
And more on that story. During these trying times, due to the bastard known as the COVID-19 virus, many of the things on our life schedules have been canceled, whether it's an OCR race, sporting events, movies, concerts, birthday parties, weddings, life get-togethers. We have all suffered. We've all been stuck in our homes for a long time. But in an effort to put a smile on your face, we here at Digital 410 bring to you a list of events you should be happy got canceled.
The Dallas Quilters Guild Quilt Fest 2020, March 13th through the 15th in Dallas, Texas. The 5th Sin Jigsaw Puzzle Conference of 2020, scheduled for April 12th through the 15th in the United Kingdom. And the 2020 West Coast Beard and Mustache Competition, scheduled for April 16th in San Francisco, California.
To every tragic event, one must find a silver lining. And so we want to thank you, COVID-19, for sparing the world of these events. I think the first time we ever played that is back when we were still doing Skype and the audio sucked so bad people couldn't even hear it. So even though those are post-dated, that was a bit that we were going to continue to do. But, well, we always lose motivation around here.
Hey, we've got to bring it back. So why would there be a naked bike ride? What is the whole purpose behind this? What's your thoughts?
You love sliding around on a ball sweat-soaked bike seat?
Probably. But I'm thinking here's their reasoning.
Excuse to ride naked?
This is how the naked ride is to promote positive body image, advocate for the safety of cyclists, and protest dependence on fossil fuel. So the riders actually pedal 10 miles, a 10-mile course, while taking into the sites, including independent halls. I don't know if I was one of them and there's a really hot chick in front of me, I'm taking it on one site. The Liberty Bell and Philadelphia Museum of Arts. Imagine a classroom being out there when this goes by, right?
Yeah.
And in the steps of the Rocky movie. So
Don't
it is
look,
canceled.
Ethel. It was too late. She got an eyeful.
Now, you do have a story.
I do have a story, but this isn't the story that you thought about. Did you know something happened in Iowa on Monday?
We lost a lot of corn, and our corn prices are going to go up.
Because no one cares about Iowa. I had never known there was such thing as an inland hurricane. Dateline, Iowa, an inland hurricane tore through Iowa, and you probably didn't know it. This is on Washington Post. On Monday, Iowa was leveled by what amounted to a level 2 hurricane, but you probably wouldn't know that from reading, listening, or watching the news. Watching the news. While the storm did gather some coverage, most via wire stories, its impacts remained unreported days later. The dispatches focused on crop damage and electrical outages have been shouted down by the coverage of the Veep stakes. I guess that's a cute play on words for the VP. The Veep stakes and the fate of college football. Conservative concentration over the new Cardi B single has gotten more attention than the Iowas left without power and food for what may be weeks. And all this as a pandemic continues to wreak havoc throughout the state. Iowa's last disaster, breathlessly covered by the media with the caucus. After that, everyone moved out. The death of the coverage means we are struggling here and no one knows. The storm was called a derecho, Derecho. Is that like Greco-Roman? Derecho, the term for sustained straight-lined winds, as local TV news anchor Beth called it. This isn't a few trees torn down and inconvenient power outage. It's like a tornado hit hit all the counties. Gusts of 112 mile an hour were recorded in Lynn County. As I drive through the towns of Cedar Rapids on Monday, I saw billboards bent in half, whole buildings collapsed, trees smashed through roofs and the windows. The scopes and the breadth of the disaster will still be calculated for weeks. But by some estimates, more than 10 million acres, or 43% of the state's soybean and corn crops, have been damaged. 250,000 of Iowans are still out of power. In Lynn County, where I live, 79% of the people are without power, still 3 days later after the disaster. Cell phone service is spotty, where it exists at all, and few gas stations and grocery stores still have enough power to take even cash. and good luck getting cash from your bank, which are most likely closed. Even if you have money, lines snake around the gas stations 2 to 3 hours long, and the grocery stores are all chaos. Citywide curfews exist, and you can still see the Milky Way from the darkness of downtown. And not only do they
That's
provide
the upshot.
not only do they provide most of the country's corn and soybean, but they're also a huge part of our cattle. And so, yeah, our corn prices, soybean prices, meat prices are going to go through the roof because they got
That
that.
includes gasoline because a lot of
Ethanol.
is made out of. You got it.
Now, Gordon hinted to this one a little early. I'm not going to get through the whole story because we've already ran late. But two things California has been doing. One, they still have like most, especially in LA, most of their counties are still like a mandatory lockdowns where you can't even go to the beach. These were like a lot of the videos you see people like verbally assaulting, if not physically assaulting people for not wearing masks. Everyone's like on edge. You hear these actors who say they haven't been able to leave their house for like 4 months. And so you got to think and they still can't get a haircut. You can get on a plane, you can fly in a cabin, but you still can't go to a place with 3 people inside and get your haircut.
You can protest, but you can't get together anywhere else for rallies.
So they're doing two things. One, to try to raise money, they're going to increase the state income tax to 16.4%. Now, that's on top of the federal government's, 40-something percent?
And retroactive it back
Yes.
to when they made money in January.
And so not only are they going to raise the tax, but they're aware that, well, we've closed down everything. No one's working. So now the people who aren't working are going to have to find a way to come up with money to pay more on what we already taxed back in January and February when they were working. And so this has caused what some news sources are calling the Great California Exodus. And I was on a video platform the other night, and there was a somewhat unknown comedian who is verified on his platform, so he clearly has some people following him. He was showing U-Haul trucks driving down the street. There goes another one. A couple minutes later, there goes another one. He said, it's not just an exodus, it's an all-out running for the hills. He said, I'm seeing something.
Run to the hills. Sorry.
For your lives. He said, we're seeing something you never see in California, and that is housing deals. First month free, 5%. You're actually seeing deals where you see in a lot of other states when it comes to trying to get people to rent. In California, people are struggling to find places to live because everybody wants to be there. So I lived there from 2001 to 2003. At the time, this is like in 2003, a studio apartment in the bad side of town in Long Beach, California was $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month, and that was 19 years ago.
And that was a questionable spot too, right?
Yes, that's why I said the bad side of town. Now, we all know Joe Rogan, his podcast. He signed $1 million a year or season or whatever, $1 million exclusivity contract with Spotify. So his podcast will only be available on Spotify and obviously his YouTube channel. But I think maybe he may even have to actually delay the release on those a few days. But he's picked up. He's moving to fucking Texas. He's gone. All these other people are leaving, right?
Oh, you should see the Cali tags. I think half our valley is filled with them.
So what is California going to do? Well, there's one assemblyman in California who's got this idea where they're going to do a wealth tax. Now, the wealth tax only affects millionaires and billionaires, so don't worry, low-income people, you're fine, or don't worry, upper middle class, you're fine. It'll be 0.4% of their entire wealth generated while living in the state of California. Well, this is a dumb idea, you say, because that's just going to encourage more people to leave.
Oh, but wait.
But when the news anchor asked the assemblyman, won't that prevent people from moving to California? No, why not? Well, because it's California. That's what they've been relying on all these years. It's California. You can surf in the morning and ski in the afternoon. It's California. Yes, that's great. But here's the rub.
You can also step in bum shit as soon as you leave your house.
Here's what, if this bill passes, here's what they're going to do. If you leave California, they're going to tax you on the revenue that you created while living there for 10 years. So when you leave the first year, 90% of that tax still applies to you. For the second year, 80% of the tax applies to you on down to zero.
I don't know how that can be legal. Once you're out of that state, you're out of that fucking
When you
state.
move to the state, it's the other way. The first year, only 10% of that tax applies to your overall wealth. The next year, as you're making more money living there, 20% on up to 10 years in, now you're getting the full sum of that tax on your overall wealth.
Now, this has only been an idea that's been floated at
Yes,
this
it
point,
hasn't
right?
passed yet, but this guy is heavily pushing for it.
Yeah, well, he can push all he wants. I don't see that. Because guess what would happen? People would flee the state before they could actually make it law in the first day that it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they retroactive it, but they'd flee.
Well, they had no.
You've just destroyed everything.
Well, they had no problem retroacting this new 16.4%. Keep that in mind.
Did that pass too?
I believe it has, or it's in the. I believe it's getting close to. Keep that in mind. So if you're in California, after you pay your federal income tax and all the taxes on your properties and all your businesses, and then the state income tax goes this, you're paying like almost 60% of your income to taxes.
California, don't you realize maybe you just have a spending problem and your programs are too fucking big? Oh, I'm sorry. I am a crazy conservative. I can't say those things.
Yep. Anyhow, what else you got on your news?
Just one quick story. Kind of cool. Bald eagles are a pretty tough bird, aren't they?
Yeah, I live about 7 miles from the Southwest Florida eagle camps that are worldwide famous.
Well, I know a town called Escanaba, Michigan.
Okay.
The Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, also known as EGLE. This is fucking funny. So it's about an eagle. The acronym for this company or the department is called EGLE. Well, they were flying a drone. And this drone they were flying was mapping some shorelines and whatnot. And all of a sudden, an eagle came up and ripped the fucking propellers right off of the drone.
And drones are not cheap, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
$950 worth of drone went into the drink.
Now,
So,
don't
I thought it was pretty cool because the company's called Eagle, kind of. You know, the department.
Now, sadly,
And
that
the drone
eagle
got destroyed by an eagle.
that eagle probably did sustain some injuries because I've inadvertently stuck a finger in a cheap drone. I can only imagine what sort of damage getting hit by 4 propellers off an expensive one does to you. But yeah, they're a hardy bird. They can handle it.
They did find that the drone landed in about 40 feet of water, or 4 feet of water, about 150 feet offshore. But yeah, the eagle took it out. So maybe we need attack eagles for drones.
Yeah, there you go.
And that is all I have for the news, except Golden Knights just won Game 3 against the Hawks, 2-1.
Awesome.
So
That's going to wrap up another episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. As always, this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast is brought to you by our friends at Computers. Computers has been providing IT solutions for all of Southwest Florida since 2004. So if you need any computer work, network work, or anything basically with technology, whether it's mounting a TV, putting in security cameras, Nest doorbells, thermostats, any of that, give them a call, 239-283-1120. If you don't live in the state, they can still help you by accessing your computer remotely to help you remove viruses, fix printer issues, sound issues, USB port issues, anything that may be software related, they can help you out there. And more importantly, they can help you with online antivirus, online data protection, two-form authentication, and giving you the ability to log into your network remotely. And so give them a call at 239-283-1120 or find them at act-capecoral.com. And after you get done visiting them at act-capecoral.com, head over to d-410.com, click on that big, beautiful orange Patreon link on the right-hand side and become an official member of the OG5 and help support the show, the YouTube channel, the YouTube channel, and all the other podcasts here on the Digital 410 Network. And speaking of the Digital 410 Network, there's a new episode of the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast coming up this week with me and Jeff Copsetta from Texas. And there's another one in the can, which is the follow-up episode with Jake Larson, the 97-year-old World War II vet. So look forward to those. You can find all of our podcasts where fine podcasts are available. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to Save California shirt like the one I'm wearing or any of our other shirts, head over to d-410.com and you can buy a shirt and support the show that way. Thank you guys so much. Gordon, where can people find you?
I can be found at Aegis1974 on Instagram, Gordon at the D-410, hyphen 410, my apologies, at Facebook, and Abernathy Gordon on Twitter. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe. Try not to be too nervous. Go out and just rock the world like you own it. We'll see you next week.
And you can find all of my information for all my social medias, except for my TikTok, over at d-410.com. But as always, you can find me on TikTok as well as at Donovan410. I'm now at 3,620 followers on TikTok, where I think on my Twitter page I have 1,500, and my Facebook page I have 1,200. So if you guys aren't following me on TikTok, you can go over there and call me a male version of a Karen for yelling at somebody for parking like driving like an asshole with a utility trailer. But thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you all next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.